Hello and welcome to the Knock On KCLR and Scoreline.ie's weekly rugby podcast. Every week we're joined by Tom Crowley from Carlow Rugby Club, James Blanchfield from Kilkenny, and of course Paddy Brown from Tullow Rugby Club, the three local clubs, I suppose, in the KCLR area to keep an eye on how they're getting on in their respective leagues. We talk men's, women's, juniors, or the senior teams, I suppose, are junior, but the underage teams as well, the youths, and of course, all besides club news and everything else. We're here every single week. You can get us on any of your streaming platforms that you use, Spotify, Apple, all that sort of stuff, and you can watch it on YouTube if you want to see what we all look like and you're curious. Paddy Brown joins us here on the podcast this week. Paddy, how's it going?
How are you, Stephen? How are you?
Sure, not too bad. We're right in the thick of it now. There's Six Nations on. The Towns Cup is up and running. The Leinster League is. We're heading towards the end of the Leinster League nearly in that, but plenty still to talk about and everything like that. But beginning with Tullow, of course, this week, and I suppose we have to start with the ladies first. Tom, huge weekend in Tullow at the weekend. Division 1 Cup or Division 1 League champions already.
Yeah, there's loads to talk about this week, Stephen, and I'll come back to the men first and second in a minute, and also I would like to mention the Carlow Sports Stars Award, where Tullow is well represented. But really, the highlight has to be the women's victory in Mullingar last week to win the Division 1 league, and it was a fantastic achievement. They won. Mullingar weren't bad at all. It was but they won on a score of 67, and Mullingar did put it up to them for say 20 minutes in that, but once Tullow got their noses ahead, they really scored some fantastic tries, and it was a really huge victory, and the girls celebrated accordingly. The cup starts in a couple of weeks, and they're back in Mullingar again in the first round of the cup, the Paul Flood Cup as it's called. So there are big ambitions to retain the Paul Flood Cup. There will be a few big games along the way. I suppose Tullamore and Barn Hall would be the main threats, but they would be going for a 3 in a row. So they're fully intended to keep going and go all over that. They're training very well. There was 28 girls topped out last Sunday up in Mullingar, and they gave most of them a run, which was fantastic. And that's coming from a situation at the start of the season, at the end of where they were very short of players, but they got a whole lot of extra players, and there's a lot of young players there, which does augur well for the future. And I'll come back and talk about the match itself a bit more in a moment, but the exciting prospect is now that they are now into a round robin with each of the 4 provincial winners go into a round robin, the same as the men, to determine who goes up to AIL. So there's a prospect of possibly Tullow being a senior club, and that would be really a momentous achievement. And with the ambition that these girls have, I wouldn't put it past them. So that would be a massive achievement and a huge step up, and it would be interesting to see how they would fare against the big names, and travelling the 4 provinces as well would be a challenge in itself, but something I think everyone in the club would look forward to. So the match, as I said, was 67, and they scored some wonderful tries. I suppose the standout players, there was so many of them. Alex O'Brien, I suppose, is the longest standing player, Sean's sister, and Alex is going as strong as ever, and it's her 16th season playing, and she scored 2 tries from the centre position. She's wearing the same number 12 jersey as Sean wore at the weekend as well, and our joint captains are Catherine Dempsey and Grace Kelly. The 2 of those had outstanding games as well. And not to mention a whole lot of other girls there who stood out. I'd say Lisa O'Toole, Chloe Farrell, Aoife McGrath. I don't want to leave out anyone. Lauren Faulkner was very good. Orla Hanlon. There was a whole lot of standout players. Sarah Rennick at full back got a race of tries as well, and they were all really well worked tries with passing the width of the field. So yeah, it was a great achievement for the girls, and the hard work in Tullow over the years with the ladies section is really paying off. We now have 2 girls on the Irish panel. Dan O'Brien has been on it since last year. And now Katie Corrigan, who has been ripping it up in the last few weeks with the Irish Wolfhounds, which is a Leinster Ulster selection, and now she's been called up to the to the full Irish panel for the Six Nations, and certainly the way she has been playing for the Wolfhounds, I'd say she's a fair good chance of getting on the team. So that's a great achievement for two local girls. And we have had provincial representation in the past. Alex O'Brien did play for Connacht, as did Nicola Callback, Hilary Griffin, and we had, of course, Kira Cooney, who came to play in Carlow. She got one of the Galway Coonies, and she played for Ireland, of course. So, it's a really strong section, and they're going very well. And the underage are going well. And Tom often talks about the Rhinos, and we have two great underage teams in association with Carlow, and they play under the banner of the Rhinos. Sorry, Stephen, I cut across you there.
No, you're all right, Paddy. They're in full flow there. It's just saying it's incredible success, isn't it?
It really is. It really is, and
it's an international right down to the like you said, the Rhinos. It's incredible.
It really is, and I mean, I've often said, and I'm involved in Tullow Rugby Club all my life, and since I think one of the most significant things Tullow ever did was starting up the ladies section, because they bring such a vibrance to the club. And there's a lot of women on the committee now too, and they tend to be. I often say that, the women on the committee are doers. They're great people to organise things, and there's a great life to the club when you have both a men's and a women's section. That's my experience anyway since that section was started. I have to give credit to my own sister Cora, who probably was the founder of the ladies section and still is team manager, and she the club did, or the ladies section did on twice, I'd say, over the years, nearly fade because of lack of numbers, but she kept digging in there with a lot of support from her colleagues, and the fruits of the labour is there to see. A shout out to Paul Canavan too, who plays with our first men and is the coach of the ladies team, so he puts a lot of effort into it too. So yeah, I mean, it's a wonderful component of our club, and the possible excitement of going senior next year is really something to savour.
Absolutely. Tom or Paddy, I remember interviewing Cora back in probably 2006, 2007. This is when Sean O'Brien himself was a very young fella, and he hadn't even broken into the Leinster team. He was only knocking around the academy at that time. But I remember talking to Cora about trying to build up ladies rugby and all that at the time, and the plans and the ambitions for it. And it's just great to see it get to that level now, that it's, Division 1 champions, Paul Flood, cup champions going for it again. And like you said, AIL rugby, it's great to see it. And it doesn't happen, like we said, overnight either. There's quite a lot of work goes in the background over the years. And I think the Rhinos is a great idea as well, to bring the two clubs together, to develop those girls underage and get them up to that level. And now look who they're looking at, the Alex O'Briens and the ladies on the Tullow ladies team now, and they know that that's what's achievable at the end of it,
Yeah, there's no doubt about that, Stephen. You're 100% right, and credit to all the people who kept it going over the years. And there's a great support. I know it was a league final, and we went up to Mullingar expecting, but nonetheless, it was great to see a huge crowd up there on Sunday, and a massive number stayed around for the presentation, and there was just a great buzz. So long may that last, I'd say, and I say I'll come back to the Sports Star Awards in a moment, but there's recognition there too. So moving on to the men then, Stephen, our first and seconds played up in Seapoint, and both had narrow losses. Both, certainly the first, felt they could have won it. Seapoint are strong and they're up in second place, but and the score was 27-20, so we did get a single bonus point, and we are it does leave us still in fourth place, 6 points ahead of Wicklow, and we've 2 matches left. So we are hoping to retain that fourth position for the end of the league, and I'll come back to what future matches we have in a moment. But the benefit of staying in fourth place, obviously you're safe from relegation, but also there's an All-Ireland Junior Cup between the top 4 teams in each of the Division 1 leagues in each of the provinces. So that's something we'd be excited about playing in. So yeah, 27-20. There was they had 2 players sent off and yellow cards, and we'd won. Sean O'Brien was yellow carded for at this stage. Paul Canavan had gone off injured, and Sean went into out half, and he was taken on the ball, and the referee deemed that he high tackled the guy. Morris completely disagrees with that, and from where I was standing, he took on the player hard, but he was carrying the ball, and it shouldn't have been a yellow card, and it certainly made a bit of a difference. We did get the score up to 27. They were 12-0 up at the start, and we did get to 12-10 by half time with tries from Paul Canavan and Gareth Fitzgerald. But then during the Sean O'Brien's yellow card, they pulled ahead to 27. 10, I think was the score at one stage, but we got a couple of tries back and got to 27-20, and after that, and certainly we'll be reasonably happy. It was a good game, a very good game, and a huge crowd there from Seapoint, so they're obviously on a bit of a high. They were leading the league for a long time, but they're gone back to second place now. The seconds had a very good game. They won, I think it was about 27-23 they lost, but it was a really top-class game, and I think it augurs well for our seconds. We have a good young seconds team, and I think they should have a fair chance in the cup. Hopefully, they won it last year, so we're happy with where they're going at the moment, because earlier in the league last year we weren't getting out of seconds team, and we have all season this year and had a good few wins in the seconds league. So yeah, we're very happy with where the seconds are going. So as I said there earlier, we'd be hoping to retain our fourth place. We've 2 matches left. As you mentioned there, we're reaching the end of the leagues, and we've no match this Saturday, but on Saturday the 2nd of March we are Gorey at home, and we'd certainly be targeting that, hopefully, because our final match is away to Monkstown, who are the league leaders, and that certainly won't be easy. But we'd like to get a few points from those 2 games to be safe in fourth position. So we're expecting a big crowd out in the Black Gates. We're having a pre-match reception on the 2nd of March against Gorey, and Gorey have improved at a very poor start to the league, but they have got a few extra players back that weren't available to them, and they've got better results in the last few weeks, and so it won't be easy. But anyway, that's what's up ahead for the seconds and the first and the seconds men. A lot of activity in the underage this weekend. Our boys under 13s, 14s, 15s, or 16s and 18s all have Leinster League quarterfinals spread out over the weekend, and the Rhinos, the under 14 Rhinos and under 18 Rhinos, have also playing in cup matches, Leinster Cup matches. So it's a very busy weekend on the field of play for the under 8 teams. And finally, just to mention, Stephen, a shout out to our award winners. Friday night is the Carlow Sports Stars Awards, and Tullow are well represented, and I suppose it reflects the outstanding season we had last year. The overall club is getting an outstanding achievement award in recognition of the 3 cups we took home last year, which was the Paul Flood Cup for the women, the Towns Cup, I should say 4 cups, the Seconds Cup and Division 1B in the league. So that certainly was a very momentous year for the club, and has been recognised in the Carlow Sports Star Awards. In conjunction with that, then, there's 2 other awards. Adam Johnson, who had an outstanding season last year and at the start of this year before getting a dislocated shoulder, is taking the Men's Rugby Award, which is a great achievement for such a young man. He's only 21, I think, and he also starred for the Setu team with Johnny Tobin when they won their cup last year. So he's had a very busy year. Unfortunately, he's out for the last 5 or 6 weeks, but he is hoping to be back for the Towns Cup, and we certainly would need him back. On the women's rugby side, then, Dana O'Brien is getting the Women's Rugby Award for the 2nd year in a row, and due recognition of her breaking onto the national team and having some great games there. So a great achievement for her, and we're delighted with her progress. And as I said earlier, she's now being joined on the women's national panel by Katie Corrigan, another homegrown product from the club. So yeah, it's a great time for us all, and we're very pleased with all to report and all of that. So that's it, Stephen.
Good stuff, Paddy. Thanks a million for that. It's a great update from Tullow. Things going well there so far. Yeah, no, that's brilliant. Congratulations to the women as well, Division 1 Cup champions. And of course, big couple of weeks ahead with their round robin for the AIL and the Paul Flood Cup, as you said, returning as well. Paddy, thanks for that. We've been joined by Tom Crotty and James Blanchfield as well from Carlow and Kilkenny Rugby clubs, respectively. I don't know who wants to go first, lads, James or Tom. You want to fight amongst yourselves there? James. Sorry, was Tom going to jump there, was he?
All the one.
Go for it.
Usually I jump in anyway, stop Tom talking anyway. So.
Before he gets going.
We had a, I suppose last weekend, it was a disappointing weekend all round for first, seconds and ladies teams in the club. As you were aware there from our own WhatsApp group, we were absolutely, from our first and seconds, we were on bare bones last weekend, which kind of saw a very unusual team selection of second row, Wes Carter being picked to play out half for the firsts. But our seconds haven't had a very strong season all along and have been in league contention really. Succumbed to a tie the previous week in what ended up being a one-sided affair against the tie. Played over Kilkenny College, but the lads stayed in that game until the final 10 or 15 minutes when a tie just kind of drifted away from them, and kind of I think it ended up probably 25 points to 10 in the end. But first went down that week to a very good, very well drilled a tie team, and I kind of have to say about a tie is they beat us well on the day. We did play poor, but Tom and I spoke the week before about the quality of the tie half-backs, and I have to say they were the difference. You know, the scrum half gave Craig Miller just so much time on the ball to do what he wanted, and I think it was one of the keys for me and a few of the guys were speaking after the tie match. It just goes to show the importance of relationships on the pitch, particularly 9 and 10. It was like as if the 9 always knew where Miller was going to be and what he wanted to do and where he was going to put the ball, and it was kind of like vice versa as well. So look, they were the difference, and they are probably now, I think, in a very strong position in the league. Carlow will have a lot to say about that over the next couple of weeks as well, of course. But last weekend, as I said at the beginning, it was a difficult weekend for the club in terms of results. The seconds were well beaten by Boyne, which was kind of a surprise, but it was a kind of a result of where they were with injuries last week. I think between first and seconds, we were missing close to 11 or 12 players, which is difficult. But look, they're probably going to look at a good cup run now with the seconds, now that the league is probably out of their reach. First, as I said, Wes Carter played out half, and I have to say he was absolutely super there. It was an absolute bizarre game of rugby. Bizarre in the sense that we were 21-0 down after 11 minutes. Conceded 3 relatively soft tries, 3 tries from all I can describe of his crazy kicks from ourselves, gift and position, our possession and position back to Boyne, where essentially just went the length of the pitch and scored from them. So we kind of gave ourselves a very bad boost from the beginning of the game. But from there, then we just started to get a foothold in the game, and we got ourselves back into it to get the half-time score. I think was 21 points to 12. And we kicked on from there, but Boyne went out and got the first score of the second half, about 5 minutes into the half, and that was the final score. It got to a stage in the last 10-15 minutes where we did everything but score. We got ourselves our fourth try bonus point. In the final play of the game, we got a try to get us over the line within 9 points, but we missed the conversion, which was a difficult conversion that was out wide. But rewinding back from that, we probably had 4 opportunities in the second half where we could have actually snatched the draw, or even better, we could have actually taken the game. There was knock-ons over the line. There was passes made going for the line where they shouldn't have been made. But look, at however, I think the result against a tie the week before really put us out of contention to win the league. And I think, as I said, kind of on our group last week, that a loss for us last Saturday really kind of forms that it's going to be in a tie Carlow 1 and 2 or in the league, whichever the sequence is, still needs to be bottomed out. But for us now, it kind of gives us an opportunity in the league to go back to the drawing board, give a few guys another rattle, like give a few younger guys a shot at it, and start building for the cup. And kind of see what happens with that, you know. The ladies lost again. They lost to the Southeast Lions in a well contested game inside Foogstown. But you know, they're a young side, our girls team, and they have a little bit of work to do. But you know, as I always say, and Johnny Tobin always said, there's no learnings in winning. You only learn from losing. So you'd hope that they can just start taking the learnings from games now and start building for next season and a good cup run.
Good stuff. That's you up to date.
That's me up to date. I apologise for how sparse it is. I got stuck in traffic on the way home from work and I didn't get a chance to put all my notes together. So
all right. Not to worry at all, James. Great stuff. Thanks for the updates. Tom, you were out last weekend. You beat Dundalk as well. Happy?
Yeah, very happy because we got 2 wins the previous week. You know, we weren't on last week. We got 2 good wins against Longford. J1s and J2s. Both sides played really well. This week last weekend we took on Dundalk. Start with the second had a good win. They started off and it was dodgy enough because Dundalk got stuck into them and got early scores, but it's a good second side. They came back and they ended up winning it very well. Man of a match performance by Anto Kelly has just come back playing rugby this year after about 10 years missing. He's playing second row, phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal at the moment. We've kind of been chopping and changing over the last couple of weeks with the seconds because I'm trying to figure out as the league has gone well out of contention, but we want to keep winning anyway. But we've made a lot of switches and changes because trying to figure out what side we're actually going to have for the cup. We're probably in a lucky position that we have about between around 40 training at the moment, 40 to 50 training. It's mad. So it's trying to figure out what team we'll have. And then we're looking to build the J3s as well for the J3 Cup. So but they had a really, really good win. They're playing a lot of young fellas on it. And then the couple of old heads, which they were missing earlier on in the season, and probably was the result. Like we went down to Kilkenny and we were like headless chickens down there and got our asses handed to us. And that really turned the league from the seconds point of view. Just missing that leadership on the field. Their captain Dave Keppel was out for a number of weeks with an injury with he had a broken eye socket, so he was missing for a long time. And like they just needed people like Dave on the pitch to keep these young lads in track because kind of when things go down or things go wrong, it just needs an old head to switch it around. But no, look, very happy the seconds at the moment. They're flying, and as I say, there's a lot of lads have come back playing this season, which is brilliant. Like a lot of lads that would have played under 18s and haven't really played since have come back, and we're delighted. They're just enjoying. Look, many things the lads are enjoying it. So as I say, they'll check on now. There's 2 more games left in the league to figure out their cup side whenever. We're out in the first round of the cup. I think we're playing Naas thirds. I think in the first round of the cup, so we'll aim for that. J1s, we had a really, really good win over Dundalk. It was a tough match. It was. I noticed the score in the end might kind of give an idea to what it was actually like. But Jesus, it really was a tough physical game. Dundalk really took it to us. From the first minute onwards, they're heavy enough pack, decent, and their backs are decent enough. They're probably better. They're probably a better side than some of the results that they've got. Like they held us to a draw. We got lucky to get the draw up there. probably we missed out on a point. We didn't have a particularly wonderful game up there, but they're a strong physical side. Like some of the hits that went in on Saturday were absolutely ridiculous. But the key thing is to get the win. Players again, Dave McDermott was outstanding in the centre, just phenomenal. Ian Atkinson beside him has really turned it on this season. He's been lucky to. We're lucky to have him. Been playing football, and he came back in last season and had played with the seconds, and this season he's put the effort into playing J1s and has been playing really well in the centre for us. Johnny Murphy again at number 8, so strong going forward. But our hooker Evan Gordon this week was just beyond belief. His hands, like an absolute man of the match performance. With this, Evan is like funny character in a sense that he just potters along. There's no match, never have him down as the big star or anything like that. But it did last weekend. He was just outstanding. His darts were on point. His play around the field, his offloads, he gets into the shape really well. Have to say hats off to him. He's really playing very well this season. Richie again had a decent game at full back. Right across the board, like from the subs coming on had a huge impact. Conor Tracy and Owen Edgehill, Paddy Mackey, and those just coming off the bench, and even like Ben didn't even start this. Ben Crowley didn't start this week. Because he had a college game and that, and he had missed last weekend. So we had those players coming off the bench, which is phenomenal at this stage of the season. On touch wood, we kind of stayed reasonably injury free. There was a few worries before the game. We lost Tyg Ronan before the game, and we had Benny came down from came off after half a game. The seconds came down subbed on the bench as well. So we have to say hats off to them all. We got the bonus point. We got the bonus point win, and that's huge. It leaves us 1 point behind the tie. Look, all we can do now is just go out and try and play Kilkenny, which is always going to be a big derby. That's never an easy game. So that's in 2 weeks' time. No match this weekend, Paddy said. But we have 2 phenomenal games coming up with Kilkenny at home, 2 weeks, followed by Kildare. We need to get some sort of points out of those to stay in the hunt. At high have they have Dundalk and what's the other one they have? Dundalk and Kildare. No, it's not Kildare. Dundalk and De La Salle. Sorry, they have De La Salle away next week. They have De La Salle away in their game, and they finished off at Dundalk at home. So like they have two tough games coming up. So we're all in the hunt for it. To be honest, we just want to try and go up if we can. First or second position. It's not a thing, but we need to move on. We've been kind of floating around in Division 1B for a long time, so it's just if we don't, it's one of those divisions very hard to get out of. And Paddy knows, like, you got out, you played really well last season and did everything to get out, but it's not an easy. It's a terrible hard group to get out of, and it's not going to be any easier next year because teams Mullingar's come up will definitely Mullingar be back up. The likes of Boyne and those will regroup. Dundalk will regroup. I'm sure it's going to be a fight off at the bottom then if De La Salle, if it is De La Salle, they should win that playoff. But it's not going to be any easier. It's just going to be as tough next year, if not tougher. So look, it's an opportunity.
Ashburn will probably be coming down, and they won't be simple either.
No. That's what I'm saying. But it's not, Paddy. We've all been through that. We're in that process. Now it's a long time since we've been up in 1A. We've been trying to rebuild after carnage. So, we're happy where the club is at the moment. So there's a really good atmosphere. the players are just going out and playing the game. We're not putting ourselves under too much pressure. Probably, as I said, the Towns Cup game was the only game this year we were really kind of done what when it was like the weight of the world was on everybody's shoulders going out for the first game. They swear it was a Towns Cup final. But that's the only game this season. Once they've got into a rhythm that it's you go out and you play the game, and if you get the result, you get the result. There's not stress. There's a belief that if they play the game, there's a fair chance they can win. They believe they can win if they play well. If we lose a game, it's not that we haven't the ability. It's just you don't play. You have a poor day. So the stress is kind of not there that was there before, and the lads are enjoying it, and there's a good atmosphere around the club at the moment. So we're looking forward to the rest of the season. As I say, we've 2 big games coming up, and after that, then we're hitting the Towns Cup game, and if we hit second place, we have to go straight to a playoff after that Towns Cup game, and then back to another Towns Cup game if we get through the first one, the second round. So, our season is just flat to the board if we have any success in the next 2 games. So, look, happy youths. Go back on the youths. Like James, I was rushing around, so I know the youths had a decent results last weekend. I know the 15s had a good win in Eurasm. They played Kilkenny under 15s in the cup on Wednesday night, in the club. And this is a team that I have to give a mention to Eddie Byrne and Timmy O'Donoghue, because that team at the end of last season, coming towards the end of last season, had approached us and said that they didn't think they'd have to fold this season and would be able to join in with the 16s because they hadn't the numbers. But whatever they're after doing over the summer with recruitment, and obviously the way they have built in their training, and the lads must be enjoying it, because I think the 23 or 24 lads training at the moment. They're in the lower division. They're in Division 1, but they played Kilkenny in a Premier team. And I thought it was going to be a whitewash. There was three tries, bang, bang, bang. And from Kilkenny, and I say they're an outstanding under 15 team. I saw them in under 14s last year, class act. And but the game finished up, I think it was 24-7 or 27-7 or 5. Sorry, 24-5. I think it finished up. So I have to say, hats off to the lads. They're really, really putting in the effort this year. And I just want to wish them the best of luck with the rest of the season. The girls were out. The 18 girls were out. It's actually the place on tomorrow morning, 11 o'clock over in the Black Gates. So I have an early start. An early start tomorrow with the game. The 16s then are playing. They're playing Carlow. I think that's in the semi-final in the league, if I'm right, or cup. So I wish them the best of luck. They're flying. They're really, really pushing the boat out this year. 14s, I haven't seen a whole lot of Petty, so but I know that 16s team well, and there's an awful lot of talent on that team, and at the 18s. We're just kind of harder to put the 18s team together. But the girls, I have to say, in fairness, the girls turned out in numbers this week for training on Tuesday night or Monday night and Thursday night. So a big thanks to the parents and the girls for coming and making the effort to come out, because we had been kind of struggling because a lot of that team were doing their leaving cert. But there are plenty of talent there for the club anyway later on. So, and that is all from Carlow.
Good stuff. And had there Paddy or James?
No, I was actually thinking, listening to what Tom was saying about 1A and getting up to 1A and youth rugby and kind of the importance of youth rugby. And I suppose, Paddy, that you're up there, you're probably seeing it. But I have a bit of a bugbear with 1A, actually, to be honest with you. I think, if you look around 1A, there's clubs that rely on their youth system to get players through to their first team. But there's clubs up there, I would say, in 1A, who have players on their first team that never even saw a youth's jersey for their clubs.
Well, I was shocked, James, to hear lately the kind of money that's available to some of the Dublin clubs, and they are paying players, and the top 4 teams in the division are now Dublin clubs, which is a pity. We'd like to break through that particular glass ceiling, but we certainly can't afford to pay players, and we're not paying players. But when you hear that happening, it does. And so I agree with you there, James. The other problem we had before was playing on Saturdays, and the last time we went up, we terrible attendances. This time around, I think people are getting more used to it, and the crowds are better, and the players certainly prefer playing on the Saturday. It means they can go out on the Saturday night. But it's a hard one to crack that, and the 4 Dublin clubs in the 4 top places is, it's probably not great for provincial rugby.
Not great for provincial rugby. And the reason I'm saying it is I was actually speaking to someone who was at our match last weekend, who was at the game between two of the top 4 teams in the league last weekend, and he reckons conservatively it probably cost about 10 grand to play the game. And I don't want to be controversial on this or anything, but I just think it's making a mockery out of what amateur rugby is supposed to be about. And when you go around the province and you look at all this, I would classify it as bullshit from the ground up and all this kind of stuff. Why do clubs like ourselves bother trying to produce players? And Tom, you said it on the very first podcast that we have, who are we actually producing players for? Like, when you have a good young fella or a good young player and a club is just coming who has the power to throw money at them to take them away from you. I'm having a major issue, and I actually believe the branch or the IRFU have to do something about it to make 1B a more sustainable league, because we're going to have that yo-yo effect where teams are coming up. Gorey competed in it last year, and fair play to them, and I think that might have been down to a lot of their hard work. But I think there's more work needed by the IRFU and certainly by the Leinster branch. And I'm not saying anything wrong against anyone here or implicating my own club in it. It's only my own opinion. But I think more has to be done to put control and put manners on this, because it's going to make it very hard for teams, as you said, Paddy, that doesn't have the money, or like ourselves, we're probably doing well as a club. We have a policy of not paying players. And I think it's just making it very difficult for, how would I say, the provincial clubs to compete in 1B or 1A. I'll probably get in trouble for this now from someone somewhere.
Well, you won't, because it's true. People know it. It's not like it's all hearsay that we know is like, but there's players playing that, as you say, haven't set foot in the club in their youths. Now, I know a lot of them are schools players, but it's in Dublin, they don't have. I know that a lot of them go to schools, but then an awful lot of give up when they finish school. Yeah. And it's the same, especially with the women's, because you've railway there who don't have youth and are just making an effort now to put a couple of girls together to join to bind up with another club. Yeah. If they have a girls' youth system, because I think they've been told that they can't keep doing what they have been doing over the last couple of years. Just building a team and bringing players in to be the best team. Like, it's not fair on the likes of us who are struggling to get. We have to go out there. We have to promote the game. You've got to get a girl or boy in at 7 or 8 years of age, and you've got to have coaches. You've got to look after them. You've got to bring them all the way through. They come to 18. And then if they're any good, they're told they can't play with you. They have to play in a Dublin side, or they have to play in a Belvedere or a Blackrock or one of these teams. If you have any 18-year-old that's anyway decent is heading to Leinster or whatever, is not allowed. If they're still in the under 18 or 19, if they're under 19s, if they're under 19s Leinster, they're not playing. They can't play in our club.
It's an interesting one, Tom, from slightly aside to that, but it's the same vein of what both of you are talking about. If our women do succeed and go senior, will we get our players back who are now playing in Dublin because they're playing senior and they want to play representative rugby? So I mentioned Dana O'Brien and Katie Corcoran earlier, and there's 2 other girls from Tullow playing in Dublin, playing senior. So if we did go senior, we'd love to get those 4 back, but we probably couldn't afford to pay them. So that'll be an interesting challenge next year if we do succeed in going senior.
Yeah, well, you see, you go senior, you still have to. You're now going to have to field 2 teams. You have to pay for the buses and all that, and they have to do all the travelling that's going around the country, and we don't have the money As you say, if you don't get those players back, you're going to struggle without those to survive, because AIL women's rugby is two divisions, top 4 and bottom 4.
Yeah.
The top 4 hammer the guts out of the bottom 4 every single year. The bottom team often gets beaten by 100 points by the team on the top, which is the most ridiculous league I've ever heard in my life. Because if it was men's rugby in any other province or anywhere else, any other country, there's no way a team would be allowed to continue playing in that league getting hammered by 100 points. Like, that's just a joke. It makes a mockery of, and it's not fair on those girls who are doing their best to play for it. And probably the lower clubs are the clubs that actually have youth and have brought through the girls. The top 4, again, look at where the money is.
Yeah.
And it's ridiculous. Like, every girls team we play from Dublin is combined of at least 3 clubs. There's very few are out on their own. Barnhall is the nearest thing to Dublin that have their own lady setup and a very good underage setup. The rest of the Dublin side, if you head into Dublin, none of them have an individual. I don't think there's one have an individual girls team. Like, we're playing at the weekend. Played last week again. I think we played Coolmine, De La Salle, and Setonians. Then and I think St Mary's could be in on that. Like, and there's more of them. There's Belvedere. These are all the top senior clubs. You have Belvedere, Terranure, and someone else are joined together to form another team. Like, that's 3 AIL. Well, those 2 clubs are AIL Division 1 clubs, and they can't produce girls.
Yeah.
And the girls, there's no schools rugby with girls, so they can't use that as an excuse. There is no schools rugby for girls. It's not the same. You can play in your school and you can play in your club, so there's no issue.
Yeah, I think there's so much good happening in Irish rugby at the moment. It's just something that's really bothering me at the moment, the whole thing that's happening in amateur rugby. I remember Willie Duggan years ago. Willie wasn't a man afraid to speak his mind on things, as we all know. But Willie actually said that professionalism is going to ruin the game. And he's right. It is. And like, you just go back to men's rugby. I believe that the top try scorer in All-Ireland League Division 1 rugby is back playing last season, is back playing Leinster League Division 1A. Something's not right there, is it? That he drops how many? 1, 2, 4, 5 divisions down.
Yeah. Madness.
It's madness. But look, we'll do as we do. But look, I would hope that you were talking about the women's AIL there. Like, I mean, there was a big song and dance last week around UL Bows and Setonians being called off in the AIL. And, I don't see anything from anyone about it. I would say if that was Kilkenny versus Carlow, there'd be nothing about it. But as you say, Tom, it's because of one of the big 4 in women's AIL rugby. There was a big song and dance about it. The UL Bows were to have a game against Setonians. Setonians couldn't field the team, so it was called off. If that was Kilkenny Carlow or Tullow Carlow, Kilkenny Gorey, it'd just be a scratch put down through it and saying a fixture conceded by X, Y, and Z. Something wrong.
Yeah. Anyway, James, look on the bright side. You've all your Munster men lining out for Ireland tomorrow, so look on the bright side.
It's Ebo's not in, lads.
What are you taking, James? What are you on?
The little flick of the heel.
Well, it's actually not.
I know, obviously that's tongue in cheek. I think it's as good a team as Ireland could pick. Delighted to see Yali Jaeger in. I think it's good progress. 28 years of age, a tank of a man, just what we need coming behind 30 furlong,
And he's right to try it. It's no reflection on Finlay Bellum, who was having an outstanding season. But like, he's right to try him out, and it's great to see it. I agree with you.
Like, Tom O'Toole now is after having like absolute brilliant seasons. Tom O'Toole could find himself tomorrow as 4th choice tight head for Ireland.
Yeah.
Like Jaeger's
keeper position.
Yeah.
And front row is an area where we always struggle to compete internationally, but it's great.
How long ago is it since we got absolutely pushed around Twickenham on Paddy's Day? Remember, it was the most embarrassing.
Yeah.
Now look where we are.
Well, you have bigger men in there now. Joe McCarthy's a big asset. He's one strong war.
Yeah.
He is. You know what? I love
Is it
seeing
your censorship on this program, Stephen? Is there?
I'll have to go back now.
can't rewind that.
Stephen, you should be apologising to our listeners now for having to tolerate that kind of language. You know.
I remember 2 years ago at Leinster League, Kilkenny, and Stephen told me after that I had a HORN for Joe McCarthy because absolutely brilliant. And Christ, lads, he's proven to be as good as the hype was, you know.
Yeah.
Well, it's nice. Look, we've always had one, and now we have another bull back in the second row. They just need that absolute power, and that's what he is. He's you know, it's just good to have someone raw like that. You know, it's just hungry, get out and does his job. There's nothing particularly fancy about him, but he just does that job. He's hungry and does that job. You know, it's great, absolutely fantastic to see.
Brian just gave a great compliment to Sean O'Brien lately because he was talking about the enforcer that Joe McCarthy is, and he says that, you know, we had Brad Thorne and we had Rocky Elsom and all those guys, but we didn't have a homegrown enforcer until now, since the days of Sean O'Brien. So it was a lovely compliment to Sean O'Brien, I thought.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, well, Sean would have been very similar. Like it's just so raw, honest. Like Sean had as a young fella.
Exactly.
You know, well, he hasn't changed much. He might be raw now. I know. I'll just say, like, Sean just had that strength, he'd real physicality when he came into the Leinster scene, and then when he came on for Ireland as well. Like, but that's what you need. You need physicality. Tyke Byrne is there. Like Tyke is, you know, very similar in a sense. Just that you need that physical presence on the field. You know, you do need all the skills that the rest of with the skills that they have. There's some. I mean, Dan Sheen and those just have phenomenal hands. They're like, you know, they are like another set of backs. You know, wing forwards now are almost like centres. With the skills that they have. So it's but you do need that little enforcer, as you say, Paddy, in the pack, and it's nice to see a young fella taking on that mantle. You know, that's a big huge part going forward.
100%.
Stephen, you have a big night, buddy.
Yeah, back on the road again.
Up in Bolton, lass. You've made the big time.
Oh, big time. The Carry D joke's over now in a minute. That's only one part of a lot of it.
Yeah, this is from our listeners who don't realise that. I didn't even realise that Stephen is in the band, plays the drums.
He's a man of many talents.
Yeah, and I actually listen. You can get it. You may stick up your link sometime for the public to hear it.
I will stick it on the bottom of the podcast. We're on Spotify.
Yeah, stick it on the bottom of the podcast. Well worth to listen.
All original.
And that's Stephen in the background banging away.
Making nice. With drumsticks. Yeah. Absolutely. Gentlemen, enjoy your rugby this weekend. The Six Nations is back. Leinster are actually playing tonight, Friday, I think, at Saracens or something in a friendly.
Munster are playing Harlequins and Leinster are playing, I think, Saracens in the friendly.
Yeah, mad, isn't it? Just mid-season sort of stuff that hasn't happened for a long, long time. You're off this weekend, so enjoy it. And we'll catch it up, which is next week, lads. Thanks a million. Tom Crowley,
thank you.
have a good one. Take it easy.
See you, lads.